Hello boys and girls, welcome to grade 5. I am Mistress Parvati Kanai. Today our social studies topic is drugs. Those who are joining us for this lesson, we are going to have a review of our first lesson, so you will still know a little bit of what we did last time. Let's go right into it. Here is a recap of what we did. In our last lesson, we discussed what are drugs, prescription and over-the-counter drugs. Did you know prescription and over-the-counter drugs are legal drugs? Legal means when you have permission to do something. When you have permission, then it is legal. Did you do your homework? I have done mine. A drug is any substance which, when taken into the body, alters how the body feels. That was the answer for number 1. Number 2, you had to list 5 prescription and 5 over-the-counter drugs. I am going to list my prescription drugs. They are antibiotics, warfarin, simvastatin, Valium, alpha blockers. Those are my 5 prescription drugs. The 5 over-the-counter drugs are Aleve, Tosodril, Vicks, vitamin C, vitamin B12. Now, these are mine, but there are many other over-the-counter drugs, and you might not have those that I have, you might have others, but make sure they fall under the correct columns. The difference between prescription and over-the-counter drugs is a doctor prescribes the drug, while over-the-counter drugs is purchased without a prescription. Let me go that again. The difference between prescription and over-the-counter drugs is a doctor prescribes the drug, that is the prescription drug, while over-the-counter drugs is purchased without a prescription. Now let's go right into today's lesson, which is illegal drugs. What is our topic for today? Illegal drugs. At the end of this lesson, we are going to learn all about illegal drugs. Look at the pictures carefully. Can you see the pictures? We have looked at the pictures, and today we are doing illegal drugs, so those are all pictures of illegal drugs. Let's name them. We have marijuana, we have heroin, we have cocaine, we have ecstasy, and we have crack. Let's name them again. It's a list of illegal drugs, and they are marijuana, heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, and crack. Do any of these drugs fall into the category or types we discussed before? That's the discussion we had in our last lesson. Did we talk about any of these drugs? No, they did not fall into any of the previous categories that we discussed. Illegal drugs. Does anybody know what illegal drugs are? We have identified and named some drugs that are illegal. What are illegal drugs? Does anybody know? All right, let's find out. Definition. Illegal drugs are drugs that the law prohibits. That means does not allow one to use or own. We should not use or own illegal drugs. It's against the law to do so. Illegal drugs are also called illicit drugs. So another name for illegal is illicit. Some drugs are illegal because they cause harm and disorderly behavior. When some persons in the community or wherever, anywhere, anytime at all, people use illegal drugs, they cause harm to themselves. They can also harm others by misbehaving. Story time. You know I love to tell stories. Let's see what happens to Sam. Let's read Sam's story. Sam was one of the well-behaved and intelligent boys in grade 5 Topaz. That is, he was a very bright boy and he had good manners. Maybe he was loved by the teachers because it says Sam was one of the well-behaved and intelligent boys in grade 5 Topaz. Over the past weeks, his teacher noticed he came late to school and absent frequently. So, therefore, suddenly he started coming late to school or he was absent. She also observed that his behavior in class has changed. Whenever he was in school, he picked fights with the other children or he stays by himself. And he stopped playing with his friends. So Sam has totally changed from being that intelligent, well-behaved boy. Okay? Then one day, he stole his teacher's phone. Upon investigation, the teacher found out Sam was friends with some older boys who were school dropouts. Do you know who school dropouts are? They are those children who stopped going to school. They, that is, the boys, they used drugs and committed petty crimes. That is, they steal to get money to buy drugs. Sam and his new friends sold the teacher's phone to buy drugs. The teacher got Sam into counseling, and with the help of his friends and family, he was once again a good student. He did not speak to the older boys again. What have we learned from the story? The story that we just read about Sam. We have learned how the use of illegal or illicit drugs caused Sam to misbehave. So we should not ever use those drugs. Persons can commit petty crimes to acquire money to purchase illegal drugs. With counseling and support from family and friends, that is, people who use drugs can stop. So if you have loving family, you have friends, you have people you can talk to, any adult, teacher, pastor, pandit, any of those persons, you can go talk to if you find you have a problem or you know of someone, and we can stop the use of drugs with a loving environment. Effects of using illegal or illicit drugs. We know that actions have consequences. When you do something, there will be a result of it. Okay? So let's see what are the consequences or effects of using illegal drugs. It affects your moods, feelings, and your memory. That is why in the story we read, Sam became moody. He wanted to fight with his friends. The second point, the use of illegal drugs affects learning and the ability to think clearly. Low grades or performance, absent from school or work. Now, when you use drugs, it affects your ability to think clearly and make good decisions. Your grades lower, that is, let's say if you were at the top of the class or you were getting 80%, that your grades are going to drop lower. You will not be there with the top performers anymore. You may be absent, staying away from school. We call that truancy. The use of illicit drugs results in loss of friendship. It also damages family relationships. Drug users or addicts may steal, lie, and involve in criminal activities to get money to buy drugs. It may damage your brain, lungs, and other important organs. The use of drug damages your body, your internal organs. When someone uses illegal or illicit drugs, they become addicted. That is, we call them a drug addict. Now, we have a picture here. This is an image of a drug addict. If you start using drug and you continue, this is how many people have become. Sometimes if you walk along the streets on Georgetown, you may see people by the roadside just like this. Not all of them would have been using drugs, but drug also caused many people to become homeless. Let's review our lessons. Let's talk about what we learned. Today we discussed what are illegal drugs, names of some illegal drugs, and effects of using illegal drugs. Effects are also consequences. Drug-free, that's me. I am drug-free. We should all say that. We should all say, yeah, I am drug-free. Drug-free, that's me. Homework. Now, I like to give homework. That is for you to remember, to revise, and to learn what was taught to you. Number 1, what are illegal drugs? Number 1, what are illegal drugs? Number 2, list 4 illegal drugs. Number 2, list 4 illegal drugs. Number 3, state 3 consequences of using illegal drugs. Number 3, state 3 consequences of using illegal drugs. I hope you have learned and you are going to tell people, discuss, talk about what you have learned. Tell your friends, tell your parents, and advise them to stay away from drugs. Say yes to life, say no to drugs. Drugs is a big no, 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 no. Bye, boys and girls. See you in our next lesson.